your stores for each and every one of you. Okay, guys, no more talk from me. Here's the interview. All right, guys. So, hey, Jim here. And today we have a good buddy of mine, Whitney Nicely. We're actually in a mastermind group together. So we've known each other for about a year now. And Whitney is a ball of energy, a genuinely nice person. And yeah, there you go. And I've really been excited when a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was, she said she was willing to kind of come on and share some nuggets and some wisdom with us. I've been really excited about it. So, Whitney, what's going on, buddy?
Thanks for having me, Jim. This is going to be awesome. I love sharing the real estate and the fun and excitement with everybody. And I liked hearing all the announcements. Thanks for including me on that because it's good for me to know what everybody else is doing, kind of coming back into the world, life, stuff. How are we going to handle this?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we've had these dynamic in-person meetings before, and now it's like we took a year off because of COVID, and what are we going to do now? How are we going to get it back rolling and get that momentum again? Because networking is such a big deal. It's so important. So,
and there's skills involved in networking. And, some people have loved being at home and being on Zoom and, keeping the camera off and not being like with people. But I am so ready for some human interaction and I'm excited to get back out there. But I had the COVID back in November. So I'm kind of like you. I'm going, I don't know if I really want to be with people, but then I do really want to be with people. So I'm having this internal battle about it myself.
So as we get going, like since we started out kind of talking about networking, you do networking pretty darn well from my experience with you and from just your reputation. What are some things that you do and kind of try and practice when you're out networking with people to kind of get you to end result and help you do more business?
Okay, so networking is just a big party. You just dress a little bit different. And any good party host wants to talk to all of our guests, greet everybody, make sure they've got what they need. And I don't care if you're in charge of the party or not. It's so nice to have somebody going around and saying, "Hi, I'm Whitney. Are you new?" Or, "Hi, I'm Whitney. Where do you invest?" Or, "Hi, what you got going on? Who are you meeting here? Can I introduce you to somebody?" Because, when you go to networking, it's like, oh my God, I'm the new kid. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's speaking this other language. I'm going to stick out, blah, 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 blah. Like, I have those feelings going into networking meetings. So I'm sure everybody else does. And I love people. I mean, most people, but you know what I mean? I do. And I love to talk to people and I love to be extroverted and see people. And, when I get home, I kind of crash and then I'm like, no people for hours. But when I'm with people, I love it. And so I know people that aren't energized by people are super stressed about it. And so it's so nice if you can be the icebreaker. If you can say, all right, you know what? I'm going to meet 3 new people. And I don't care to go up to people and be like, "Hi, I'm Whitney." And they're like, "I know, I've met you last month." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, remind me again. I'm so sorry." All right. Because sometimes I do remember the conversation and sometimes I remember their deals. Sometimes I remember their face, but not their name. But I'm totally okay to go up to somebody and be, the one to open the conversation. And, "Hey, I know I recognize you. Where is it from? Was it here or was it at a planning commission meeting?" But just asking those general open-ended questions and always start with a smile too. It breaks the ice, makes everybody super comfortable. And I tell the ladies that I work with that if you can start with a joke too, something funny, everybody chills a little bit when you get them to giggle a little bit. Okay. They drop their defenses. Even when you're talking to sellers, talking to buyers, you're networking, whoever it is, get something funny out there and just let everybody know it's going to be okay. Whether you like this stuff or not, it's going to be okay.
Well, so, and here's the deal. Whitney's very extroverted and I'm more on the introverted side. Right. But it's still like, the ninja was the word that came to my mind. Then I was like, I feel like ninja. Do I really want to use that word? This is a really good tip. Okay. On networking, regardless if you're experienced or not. Like if you're at an event and you just scan the room and you see that person, it's like, they're kind of in the corner. You can tell they're uncomfortable. They've probably never been there before. Wow. What an opportunity to help that person. Okay. And go up to
And
them,
they will
introduce
never
yourself.
forget it. You're
They
you're
will never
absolutely right.
forget
Because we've
you.
all been that
Yeah.
new person, right? Go get them, put them under your wing, introduce them around, meet other people, but get them into the crowd and then go find somebody else. I hear stories of, kids in the cafeteria and they sat with the new kid. And I know what it feels like to be the new kid. And so I don't want anybody to have to experience that. Another great networking tip is get 5 questions besides how's the weather and what do you think about the Vols? Or, well, I'm in Knoxville, so that's what we ask about. But, if you said, so tell me, where do you invest? Or what kind of deals are you looking for? Something, because especially if you're at a real estate networking, let's just cut to it. Do we have something to talk about? Who can I connect you with? And how long does this conversation need to go? But get some questions ready. Do you have a license? Are you doing flips? Are you into buy and holds? What do you got going on? Tell me all about it, because people love to talk. So if you can give them the question, they'll tell you about it.
I love that. And the quality of your questions ends up determining the quality of your life, whether you're asking yourself these questions or you're asking other people these questions. So,
Yep.
Okay, so let's do this. So I have a couple questions, kind of icebreaker questions to talk to you anyway, to open up this conversation. And you guys can use these for networking. So the first question that I kind of wrote down here was, what do you most enjoy in your spare time?
I have a house on the river in Knoxville, and my husband and I bought kayaks. So we scoot out of work or take a day off or, play hooky and go put the kayaks in and then basically float down to our house. So that's what I am loving. Maybe not right now, but, for a good 6 months of the year, that's my favorite thing to do.
Really? So it's your absolute favorite thing to do. What do you do the other 6 months of the year?
Just watch the river, I guess. Netflix, hang out. I build puzzles a lot in the winter. And because I like to keep my hands busy. And that's what I like about kayaking. My hands are busy, so I'm moving, but it's kind of my meditation time too, because I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi. I don't have my phone out. It's just, me and God in the river, and my husband's somewhere around. But it's just great. And the same thing about puzzles. I can put on a movie or whatever and stay inside and keep those puzzle pieces moving. And a lot of times in business, in flipping houses, in running a rental portfolio, whatever it is, you're just building a big puzzle. Which piece do you need to move where? Which section can you get going and then work on another section? And I love the analogy of the puzzles. And so that's what I do in the wintertime.
Wow. So that, okay. So we're kind of like, I'm kind of interviewing you, but I'm also want to do some context on networking too, right?
Okay, cool.
Okay, so she said a lot there. Okay. There's a lot that
really fast too.
Really fast. Okay. So people like people that mirror them. So I'm going to have to start talking faster than I normally do. So Whitney will really like that.
And
okay?
You got to say like a lot too, because I do that.
It's just like a lot. Okay. So, but then she also said something, the thing that stood out in my mind was she mentioned God, that God is an important thing to her. So Whitney, you mentioned God in that really long sentence. what's I know, Whitney, I wouldn't have said that really long sentence if I did it. But tell me a little bit more about your connection with God and why that's important to you.
I got saved, I think, in the 4th grade at Vacation Bible School. And so I kind of went in and out, different churches, all that stuff. But really, after I graduated college and I was, my freshman year of life, is when I really got reconnected with church and with God. And I found a small country church that I just loved going to. And for my first year of real estate investing, I clung on to Matthew 17:20 that says, if you tell the mountain to move, you have to have the faith of a mustard seed and you can tell the mountain to move. And I had a necklace with mustard seeds in it. And I just knew that I was going to be a successful real estate investor. I just had to have faith, and just a little bit of faith was going to get me there. And that is one of my favorite verses. And God has just always given me more than I deserve, but more than I'm expecting too. That first year I wanted to do 10 deals and he helped me do 14. The next year I wanted to get into apartments and he helped me get 3 complexes. I mean, he always just goes above and beyond. And then, Jim, I'm a coach too. So I help women get their first deal done fast. And the name of my company is She Buys It, because Proverbs 31:16, in my world, every woman wants to be a Proverbs 31 woman. But verse 16 says she goes to inspect a field and she buys it. With her earnings, she plants a vineyard. So, ladies, you got to get out there and do those deals. You got to know your market. You got to make those offers. And then you got to plant that generational wealth for your kids and grandkids and your legacy. So that's what, my coaching business is all based on, Proverbs 31:16.
Oh,
and I got to tell you about my run-on sentence. I had a professor in college tell me that I would never amount to anything because I wrote my papers like I talked, and I majored in communication. So how to get in front of people and do this stuff. And he told me I'd never be successful because I wasn't polished enough. And I talked like a redneck, and apparently that's how I wrote things too. But I get things
done. But you get things done. So, well, yeah. So how did that professor make you feel when he told you that?
Well, I kind of said, it fired me up a little bit to prove him wrong. But then now when I reflect on it, he didn't really mean anything by that. He probably meant I'll never be a professional professor because I'm not academically polished, I guess. I mean, I made good grades, I graduated, all that stuff, but he was right. I wouldn't have been successful in his industry. But in our industry, I did great. People love talking to me. My tenants, my sellers, my people all the time tell me that I can explain things in a way they can really understand, and it doesn't take me half the day. And part of that's because I talk fast, and I'm used to being around a lot of, people that need things explained in a certain way. And because I've been over this contract 87 million times.
Okay, well, yeah. So you took that negative feedback, and you really, I mean, was that a motivator for you to kind of prove him wrong? Like you're bringing it up. This was like a decade plus ago, right?
Yes.
And so you brought it up now. So tell me, so talk to me about how you turned kind of that into the amazing life that you're at now.
I was absolutely determined to be successful, and I've lost track of him, but the dean of the college actually asked me to come onto the alumni board. So I feel like I've come full circle because the college dean did see that I became successful, even though that professor didn't think I had it in me. Somebody did. And that's been great for me. It's actually kind of funny. When I started real estate investing, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he told me, I was at my first boot camp and I was all excited, owner financing, lease options, creative financing, woohoo! When you first learn about that stuff, it's like a whole new world opened up. And that's how I felt. And my boyfriend, who's my husband now, told me that I had church camp mentality. When I got home from boot camp, I'd never find anybody that wanted to do these deals. I would, get my feelings hurt, and I'd be basically wasting a weekend that we could have been doing something fun, and all these thousands of dollars I paid this guru to teach me how to do this stuff that I wasn't going to actually do. So I used that as the motivation to really get me 10 deals in a year. And, God pushed me over the edge, so I'd really show him what was up. But it was after 6 or 7 deals that I'd closed before my boyfriend really caught on. I was onto something, and this was needed in the market. And he understood the buyer side of lease options and creative financing. But from his world, all sellers, anybody can just go get a mortgage. But he didn't understand that other people have other reasons that maybe they don't want to sell right now. Or maybe they need to sell, but on terms, or they don't want to be a landlord. They just want money. Or, there's lots of reasons that sellers choose us and the way we do deals instead of just listing it and selling it or putting a FSBO sign out or all that stuff. And I tell the church camp mentality story, and he hates it every time I say it, but it reminds him not to say anything else dumb to me. Because here, hold my coffee and watch this.
I'm going to try not to say anything dumb to you, Whitney. I'm a little scared of you too. So, all right, so let's break this down. So you started out, like just as far as investing goes, really like your person, like the person that ended up being your husband, had some like a kind of try to plant a seed of doubt and negativity towards whether this thing would work out or not. So like take me into your headspace around how you were able to kind of deflect that and say no, that's not happening. I'm going to make this work.
I don't know if you've experienced this, but a lot of new investors get a lot of negative comments back when they say, "Hey, I'm going to do this creative finance. I'm going to do this weird strategy in real estate investing." Or, I was like 28 when I said, "Hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor." You're too young. You're not married. You need to have a house and kids and all these other things before you become a real estate investor. My dad told me that my mom is a real estate investor. My uncle, my papa, everybody in my family is a real estate investor. And, my dad said, you have a job and your bucks come from trucks. We've got a dump truck company. And I was working at the family business, and it's my mom's family's company. And my dad was saying, you need to just wait your turn. You'll be a real estate investor in 60 years. And I didn't want to wait 60 years. When I found out about wholesaling, I was in the car with my mom and I was telling her how wholesaling worked. And she said, because she's a real estate investor, a buy and hold, long-term, never sells anything, traditional real estate investor. And she said, "Are you sure this isn't illegal? Like, I've never heard of this. I just don't want you getting in any trouble or anything like that." And, it was like everybody stacked up against me except my brother, because he knows not to mess with me, I guess. And because I was taking him along on the ride as a silent partner. And, he came to me a year after I got started. He was like, "Do you know how many houses we have?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Where did those things come from?" I mean, like, that's the kind of silent partner my brother is. He's fantastic. That's the kind of partner I wish everybody had instead of the ones that want to like give you grief and stuff. But everybody except my brother, my girlfriends were confused. My friends on Facebook, I said, "I'm going to buy 10 houses." And they said, no bank will ever loan you that money. And I was like, nobody said anything about going to the bank. I'm going to do 10 deals. And I just knew I was going to have to show everybody that I could do this. And because I'd been in my family business for 6 or 7 years at that point, and I guess I had like the 7-year itch, and I was ready to do something different. I was tired of, my uncle saying, "No, we've always done it this way and we're always going to do it that way." And I was saying, "But there's technology now." I wanted to get started and do my own thing. And it's honestly been one of the best things that I got out of everybody's way. I didn't create any ruckuses. I didn't create any trouble, because I'm the kind that I was going to, somebody somewhere in this family was going to be falling out over something I said or did. So it's just easier if I go do my own thing. And, I'm still around. I have a dump truck now, and it's great for everything to come back full circle. So I love it all, but everybody was stacked up against me in the beginning. And you just got to know, look, if you're in this ballroom, you're at this boot camp with all these people, if they can do it, you can too. All right. And even if you're with 100 people and only 10 of them are actually doing stuff, you got to decide, do you want to be part of those 10? You want to be the upperclassmen? You want to be the front of the stage? You want to be the ones doing the deals? Or do you want to be like the other 90 of them? And I don't know if those numbers are right, but there's going to be a majority going to these boot camps and going to these classes that don't do anything. They're just chilling, they're hanging, they're talking about it, whatever. But I really wanted to be in that top 10 or that top 20 or whatever. I wanted to be one of the people that when I went back to a boot camp, somebody was asking me, how did I do it? What did I do here? What did I do there? And, when I got my first mentor, I had a year-long program. And so I went to Florida for about a week every month for a whole year. And a lot of people can't do that. And I understood that. I saw that as a privilege that I had, that I was working at my mom's company and I could go to a boot camp for a week every month. And I didn't have any responsibilities. So I knew at that time I was going to be able to make it to the top of the class, if I can say that. I also knew that I was going to have to get my money back that I paid for this mentor. And the only way to do that was to get some deals done. And I'm really proud to say that I paid $15,000 for my first mentor, and my first deal, I made $15,386 or something. But my very first deal, I got my full investment back, and I went on and did, those 14 deals, made $136,000. So I didn't quite 10x my investment. But after you look at appreciation and all that, like that was just my cash that year, almost 10x'd it. All the other stuff was a bonus.
All right. So if I can kind of make
Oh yeah. Hey
observation here
Jim.
and kind of call something out. Um, so sometimes you do have to be stubborn.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of people tell me I got started in 2007 when the market was starting to tank. And everyone looked at me. They're like, why in the world would you be getting into investing right now? Isn't the real estate market the worst market to be in? And I had a lot of negativity that I had to kind of break through as well. And what came down to it for me was I thought back kind of with the end in mind, and I said, hey, in my heart of hearts, I know this is something I want to do. And if I get into this thing and I fall flat and it bankrupts me and I lose every penny that I have, um, and I'm on my deathbed and I don't have a penny to my name, like who would I rather be? Would I be rather be the guy that went for a dream, or would I be rather be the guy that played it safe? Maybe I had a little bit of money, but I always had that. I always had that nagging, with doubt of like, man, I wish I would have tried that. And so finally, and my parents were middle class family. They were, you went to college, you get a job, and you earn a paycheck every other week. And they put so much fear in me that this was not going to happen. And I finally had to say no to all of the people that were kind of existing in my world telling me no. And then I had to find new people that were actively doing this and making this happen. So, and that's exactly kind of really what Whitney described too. Like if you have a lot of people around you that are negative, that are saying it can't be done, that's okay. Just be ready and be prepared mentally to say no. I'm not going to take on that energy. I'm not going to take on those beliefs, and then develop a new set of people around you that you can kind of create an island around you with these other people that have the same dream, that are going after it. And so that's what worked for me too. But I didn't get a mentor that I paid $15,000 for right away. So my takeoff was a little bit slower. I kind of got, it took me a little bit to get the right group of people around. So that's amazing that you started off that quickly. So you get the mentor, and talk to me about what happened next. What did you start doing to get to all those deals? Hey guys, for those of you that are local to St. Louis, I wanted to make sure you knew about an amazing resource that we have to help do some extra deals. You can email our team at deals@3doors.com. And just so you know, we do deals with other investors all the time. It's been hundreds and hundreds over the years, and we've averaged over 100 deals with other investors per year for over the last 5 years. We can straight up buy the deal if you have a wholesale under contract that you want to sell. If you need funding to finance a flip, or you're doing a BRRRR strategy, we have funding available for you. If you're trying to wholesale a deal, we're doing JV wholesale deals with other wholesalers that, quite frankly, some of the deals we're putting together for a beginner or an intermediate investor, they'd probably be walking away from, because we have systems and processes, and we have buyers in place that are paying top dollar for these properties. So make sure you use this resource. And the best way to get and the easiest way is to just send us an email, deals@3doors.com. All right, back to the episode. So you get the mentor, and talk to me about what happened next. What did you start doing to get to all those deals?
I started with lease options. And one thing is, Jim, I really believed the man on stage when he said people will do this. I believed him. I didn't have any reason to think that he would lie to me. And he told me the truth. He was absolutely right. I went out, I left that boot camp on Valentine's Day. And by February 28th, I had an anniversary lately. But February 28th, I was sitting at a seller's kitchen. They put a house up, FSBO on Zillow. I called, I went over there that night, and I put their house under contract for a lease option, took it over for what they owed on it, started agreeing to make their payments in 3 months. And their problem was they had bought this house as their retirement home. So it was big enough for the two of them to retire in, but their daughter had come home and she was pregnant. And so suddenly there was going to be 4 people in this house and it wasn't big enough. And like the clock was ticking and they didn't have time to go shopping or build a house or, whatever. They'd already found a house to move to and they were ready to get out knowing that somebody else was going to take this problem. The sooner, the better. And so when I said it'll be 3 months or sooner, they said, fine, let's go. They didn't talk to anybody else. And they signed my contract actually before I talked to my mentor. My mentor didn't start coaching me until the 1st of March.
So you kind of got into action mode right away then.
I'm a quick start. Like you don't have to tell me much before I'm out doing stuff.
What, as far as that first deal goes, did you mess anything up on it?
Oh yeah, everything. I didn't get signatures in the right place. I filled out the contract wrong. I didn't have an attorney. 6 or 7 attorneys turned me down because they knew I was a boot camp graduate because I told them. And so I didn't know how to talk to attorneys. I didn't know how to find one. The one that I ended up closing with, I had to have 2 interviews with his partners before they would even consider looking at my paperwork. And they finally closed with me. It's the same attorney I still have today, though, because I'm loyal. When you get with me and you help me, I am here till the end. Okay. And we've learned together. My attorney was pretty much fresh out of law school when I was fresh out of boot camp. And we have learned how to do this together. And now I even send him leads that aren't in my honey hole, but they're closer to his. And he's closed wholesale deals off of what he's learned closing my deals. So I'm in. I'll share the wealth. There's plenty of deals out there. We got to help everybody. But what else did I mess up? I had an open house and I had like 10 or 15 people that were going to come look at the property, and only one couple showed up, and they were from Chicago, and I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and they gave me $3,000 after knowing me for 30 minutes. I didn't know what to do with that money. I didn't know who to hold it because I didn't have an attorney. And they were going to rent it until their house in Chicago sold. I didn't know what paperwork to get with them. They just signed basically a blank lease option contract that I had. And luckily, God's in all of this and watching out for me. And I give my guardian angels a workout all day, every day. But they sold their house in Chicago and ended up just paying cash for this deal that I had in Knoxville. It was actually out in Dandridge. So it was kind of a wholesale deal because I sold it. We didn't end up doing the lease option. Well, they did rent it from me for 3 months, but it was still before my first payment was due. So it wasn't typical. So that was probably another thing that I screwed up. I didn't do probably what was right, but I made $15,000 in 8 weeks, and the buyers were happy and the sellers were happy. And that was way more than I would have made with my real estate license. So I was happy. My mom was thrilled. I had my money back. Oh my gosh. I didn't tell my mom that I'd paid $15,000 for this mentor. I actually had to borrow some of the money from my boyfriend, which is one of the reasons he gave me so much flack about having to borrow money to pay for this. And that's probably just the beginning of what I screwed up. I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't know anything about anything except I knew more than those sellers, and I believed I could help them.
And then you kind of just figured it out as you went.
We figured it all out as we went. And even, I'm up to like 72 deals now. I still learn something every single time I'll do a deal. Every time I help one of the ladies in my office or in my coaching program or, whatever, I learn something new in every single deal. You never stop learning. You never know it all. You never have all of the answers. And I'm totally okay. Maybe I'm okay making an idiot out of myself. I don't know, but I'm totally okay if somebody asks me something I don't know. I don't know. Let me find out. Nobody's ever asked me that. I'll get back to you. That's a great question.
So then that's exactly right. So when I did one deal in my first 18 months, I was trying to learn the whole book of real estate. I mean, it's not ever going to happen. So we've been doing this 13 years. We've done over 2,000 deals, and I learned stuff on deals that I still learn stuff on deals. But the one thing that almost got me in hot water was because I thought I had to know everything, I would make stuff up to a homeowner when they asked me a question. I did that for about 3 to 4 months, and I realized, wait a second, it's okay, Jim, just tell them you don't know, and then have the right, then you need to have the right people around you to ask that question to. Hey, I got asked this question. I'm not sure what to do, guys. How have you handled it before? and then they can tell you the right answer.
And a lot of times the question they're asking won't even happen. And so it's just it's a fear, or it's, some sort of thing that we just need to work out. And a lot of times, if you don't know, you can say, I don't know. And I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but we'll work through it together if and when it comes up. But let's hope. Let's go on. It's not going to happen. We won't have to worry about that. I'm totally okay with that too. When I graduated college, I started going to real estate auctions or estate auctions, and I would buy the stuff out of the house because I didn't know how to buy real estate, right? But I started flipping furniture. And so I learned how to market from that. I learned how to use websites and pictures and all that from flipping furniture at auctions. And then I was working at the dump truck company. So I started flipping dump trucks, and I learned more about everything I didn't know. I just graduated college. I knew everything. And I'm, in my 20s. There's nothing I don't know. I've got all of this, right? But when you get into an industry and you really don't know anything about anything, I got really comfortable flipping dump trucks and saying, I don't know. I don't know. You're smarter than I am. I have no idea what that even means. I don't know. All I know is it's red. It's working today. If you need a truck on a job, come get it. I know it's got this. I know it's got that. But I don't really know how that works. Do you want it or not? And that also helps me not get so attached to the properties, to the buyers, to the sellers. Y'all remember in real estate, I tell the ladies, you are not moving into this house. You do not have to nest in it. You don't have to raise your kids here. You don't have to raise your puppies here. You don't have to marry this thing. You can buy it and sell it and move on. It's just inventory. It's sticks and bricks strategically placed together to shelter us against the weather. That's it, y'all. It's inventory.